Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it Seek and You Won't Find. And actually, there's a question somebody asked me, but before going any further, there's a Bible quote that says, Seek and you shall find. And it is true. It's just that we're going to look at another angle that might have been overlooked so you can see that eventually they're actually pointing to the same place. Okay? So the question or the comment somebody made was, this dream character seems to be getting hooked into watching more content and if there is something to find. So how is this the end of the search, which is the title of my video series? There is awareness of confusion arising. And of course, the end of the search is basically a play on words because the search itself cannot have an end because it is a search, you see. So technically speaking, the end of the search is when there is no seeking. And when the person says there is awareness of confusion arising, that's a good thing because there is awareness of the confusion arising as opposed to be identified with the confusion. So when confusion arises, it's just thoughts basically in opposition, but when you can be aware of that, you can sit as the witness of that. Now, in non-duality, there is no witness because there is nothing to be witnessed. It's just simply what is. But within the context in which we appear to be, this is the play on words that we use. But now let's go to the theme today, which is seek and you won't find. The purpose of seeking usually is to find, to discover something. The seekers of truth, the seeking of whatever the case may be, right? But what I could say is that seeking in the true sense is not a process in order to discover, is a process in order to eliminate. You see? So seeking is not to find the truth or the fact that you are. Seeking is looking constantly until everything is finally dropped because as much as I'm seeking, I am not finding. Why am I not finding? Because what I am seeking is nothing other than myself. And I keep overlooking myself through the seeking. So if I seek for something that I'm already am, I will never be able to realize that I am, see, because I am seeking. So the seeking is a process of frustration because I seek and I try this, it doesn't work. I try this, it doesn't work. I try this, it doesn't work. You see, that's a seeking. I try this, it doesn't work. Finally, when I get so frustrated with all the seeking and I just completely surrender and let go, in that surrendering, there's a peace, there is that cannot be described in words, but it is the absence of the seeking, the absence of that energy pursuing, trying to find something. And then I realize, or there's a realization, to put it this way, that this is it. And this has always been it prior to the seeking. While the seeking seems to take place, and after the search is over, this is it. And yet, why this seems to be so difficult to realize? Because as long as I have a preconceptual idea of how am I going to feel or what am I going to find through the process of seeking, I will continue overlooking the fact that I am. You see? Right now, I am. You are being. But if you think that beingness, this expression of beingness is not okay because there's a thought that suggests that there's something wrong with this moment, there's something wrong with my life, there's something wrong with me, or I want this or that, or I desire this or that. As long as these thoughts are there, and actually they can be there as long as you don't believe them, but generally speaking, we tend to believe them, then it seems as though I need to seek to find what? I want to find inner peace. Well, you are it. But if you believe that inner peace is a result of, when I have this, I'll be at peace. When I find that, I'll be at peace. When I achieve this, I'll be at peace. When this situation change, I'll be at peace. When that person stops saying this or leave me or whatever, then I'll be at peace. You see, we're putting conditions to the peace that we think it looks in a particular way. You see? But the peace that we're pointing to here is not a temporary state. It's being always without the content of the mind believed in. Right now, in spite of what may be taking place in your experience, it doesn't matter what could be taking place right now. And again, I'm not discrediting and I am not disrespecting anything that you may be going through. I honor that, but I'm just inviting you. This is just an invitation. I'm inviting you right now to just be. And if the mind is thinking and all that stuff, which happens, where thoughts appear, that's fine. They can be there. Nothing has to change. Just be. See? This is the fragrance of what all this is pointing to. Right now, you're experiencing it. That is not theory, that is experience. Just be. Be with whatever it is. This is not an exercise of mind control. No, this is just what is. And don't make anything special of this. This is it. Okay? This is where this is all pointing to. Now rest in here for now. Just look at the thoughts, but don't engage. Just look at them. What I mean look at them is not go ahead and start looking at them. It's just a way of saying that if they happen to pass by, just look. Don't suggest this thought should not be there or this should be. No, just be. You see? This is what you're resting as, always. But it's overlooked because a thought suggests, no, this is not it. It has to be different. It has to look in a particular way. You see? Now, this is the surface. I always say this. This is the surface. Because the real challenge here, the problem actually, you say, is that you think that I'm talking to you, the person, to just be. You see? And because of a thought or the idea of me as a person is where the seeking, that's why the seeking happens. Because when there's this belief that I'm this person, when there's this idea that this is who I am, I have to feel limited. And because of this seeming limitation, now I am seeking really wholeness. You are wholeness, but because of the thought me individual, your experience separate. And now you're trying to find wholeness through the seeking. And the seeking can take many forms. Could be the seeking of a spiritual goal or a spiritual idea, or could be the seeking of a material possession or particular experience, because in the end, whatever I'm seeking is what is hidden behind the seeking is the belief that the moment I can experience that or get that or achieve that or whatever the case may be, I'll experience whole. I'll experience myself whole. Wholeness. You see? But as long as wholeness to you look in a particular way, you will continue seeking that particular way, overlooking wholeness, which is right here, right now, which is always. You see? Right now, you are being. You are always being. You can never not be. You see? You're being while you're talking, you're being while you're eating, you're being while you're in silence, you're being while you're walking, you're being while you're working, you're being while you're changing your kids' diapers, you're being always, because you can never not be. But the activity, however, make believe that beingness is being overshadowed, and now you get engaged with the activity, and then you believe the content of the thoughts around the activity, and all of that, the activity as well as the thoughts and the content and everything, seems to be appearing in what? In being. You see? So when the Bible says, seek and you shall find, it's actually pointing to when you want beingness, honestly, you'll find it because you're it. When you want peace really, when you want truth honestly, earnestly, you'll find it because you're it. So the play on words here is that I am suggesting, or the suggestion here is that you are that peace, you are that wholeness, you are the truth, you are beingness. And if that is what you truly desire more than anything else, because everybody desires that, believe it or not, even though they may be redirected wrongly. I mean, they say they want peace, but they're directing it to objects and to things and to ideals. When you already are it, then you don't need to find anything. You don't need to seek. You see? Because the seeking itself is the activity of overlooking what already is. Would I need to find anything if I know what it is? Well, would you need to find yourself if you know that you are? You see, the problem is that you believe you are someone. And that thought in itself is what propels the seeking. You're a whole, but now you feel constricted, someone, because the thought suggests that you are the contraction. And now the thought suggests that for that contraction to feel whole, it has to pursue other different forms of contraction. You see? But what would happen if I don't believe the thought, me, contraction? Then I would not have to believe any thoughts that pertains to the contraction. And in that moment, the search is over. And in the end of the search, so to speak, what remains? That's what I always say. If you don't believe the content of the mind, if you don't believe the thoughts, what remains? Well, what remains is not an answer. It's an experience. It's an experience that has been overlooked by the seeking of answers, by the seeking of experiences, a particular experience that look in a particular way. But when I use the word experience, I gotta be careful, because what remains is not really a personal experience, but is undeniable. What remains is what is aliveness, is being, and that is undeniable. You can never not be. You see? And this is the silence that every philosophy or every whatever points to. It's not the absence of noise, it's not the absence of movement, it's the absence of the judgment that the mind conjures up about the movement and about the noise. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding. This is the quietness, again, the silence in which you rest while activity happens. Is the background, as some may call it. But in reality, there's no background, there's just what is. And this is not something to be talked about or to talk about it. This is just life. And that's why there's nothing to say, there's nothing to do, just simply be. Well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can become evident.